As Iran grabs Hormuz, are Houthis now ready to seize Bab Al-Mandeb and trigger another major Red Sea crisis? MBS's ally sounds the alarm as Riyadh fears losing a crucial trade route, with the Houthis closing in on the region's strategic waters. Is Iran-backed Proxy Houthis moving closer to a Red Sea foothold? Fresh developments reveal how the crisis could escalate. 2,000 fighters reportedly ready to take over the Bab Al-Mandeb coast, raising fresh concerns for MBS and Saudi Arabia. After Iran choked the Strait of Hormuz, could the Houthis now initiate a wider Red Sea crisis and threaten global shipping? Yemen's internationally recognized government has issued a stark claim amid rising tensions, warning of a possible Houthi move near Bab al-Mandeb. The government's information minister claimed Houthi rebels are plotting to seize territory near Bab al-Mandeb, potentially expanding their strategic reach. The minister told AFP that the Iran-backed Proxy is seeking to expand its presence along Yemen's Red Sea coast and nearby strategic areas. If true, the move could give the Houthis tighter control over the crucial shipping route, raising concerns for regional trade and security. The Houthis could also threaten Saudi Arabia's oil exports by placing greater pressure on the Red Sea route, adding another layer to the crisis. Yemen's information minister said, and I quote, "The Houthi militia is working to create the conditions for seizing control of the Bab el-Mandeb Strait by expanding its presence along the western coast, and attempting to control strategic Yemeni islands in the Red Sea, potentially strengthening its position around the vital waterway." The Houthi strategy is visible through repeated targeting of ports, docks, civilian infrastructure, ships and government naval capabilities. End quote. The Houthis do not control the Bab al-Mandeb coastal areas, but they do hold the key Yemeni port city of Hodeidah. Yemen's port city of Mocha has also been bearing the heavy brunt of Houthi missile and drone attacks, intensifying pressure along the Red Sea coast. A member of Yemen's national resistance forces alleged that the Houthis want to establish a strategic foothold near Bab al-Mandeb, according to AFP. In a major twist, Houthi military sources reportedly confirmed that an operation is indeed ready to take off, raising fresh questions over its objective. However, the Houthis allege that the operation is intended to seize areas south of Hodeidah rather than directly capture Bab al-Mandeb, according to AFP. Around 2,000 Houthi fighters are reportedly ready for deployment along Yemen's western coast, AFP claimed, potentially signaling a major mobilization. A Yemeni official alleged that the Houthis want to turn Bab al-Mandeb into another Strait of Hormuz, transforming the strategic waterway into a major pressure point. If the Houthis gain greater control, their ally Tehran could stand to gain the most, with increased strategic access to the Bab al-Mandeb and Red Sea corridor. Iran-backed Houthis fired 6 ballistic missiles at Yemen's Mocha port, according to a report by the Times of Israel, in a major escalation against a strategically important facility on the Red Sea coast. Mocha is a strategic Red Sea port controlled by Yemen's internationally recognized government, making the reported missile barrage particularly significant amid the country's continuing conflict. Yemeni military officials said the Houthi strike hit a vital civilian facility at the port, raising concerns about the potential impact of the attack on civilian infrastructure and maritime activity. At least one port security guard was killed, according to initial reports from Yemen's government, while authorities continued to assess the full extent of the damage caused by the missile attack. 8 people were wounded, while 2 Marines were also reported missing after the missile barrage, according to initial reports as authorities searched the affected area. The Yemeni military described the strike as a new terrorist aggression targeting a civilian facility, strongly condemning the Houthis for what it said was an attack on critical infrastructure. The Houthis, however, said their forces had targeted Saudi-backed military build-ups, weapons, and warships located in the Mocha area, presenting the attack as a military operation rather than a strike against civilians. Houthi military spokesman Yahya Saree vowed that the group would continue targeting Saudi military forces wherever they are, signaling that further attacks could follow as tensions remain high. The Houthi spokesman also said the group would continue striking Saudi targets, suggesting that the latest missile barrage could become part of a broader campaign against Saudi-linked forces in Yemen. The attack is part of a growing wave of clashes between the Houthis and Yemen's government forces, as rival factions continue to compete for control and influence across strategically important parts of the country. Fighting has intensified across front lines in Marib, Hadramaut, Taiz, Mocha and other areas, raising fears that Yemen's relative period of calm could be rapidly eroded by renewed military escalation. Yemen's Presidential Leadership Council has vowed a comprehensive response or deterrence, signaling that the government could take stronger military action following the latest Houthi attack. This comes as the United Nations says Yemen faces its highest risk of large-scale war since the 2022 truce, highlighting growing international concern over the possibility of a major new escalation. UN envoy Hans Grunberg has warned that further escalation could bring an end to the relative calm that has been maintained since the truce, potentially pushing Yemen back toward a much wider conflict. Grunberg has also warned that continued Houthi attacks in the Red Sea could drag Yemen into the wider US-Iran war, potentially transforming the country's existing conflict into another major regional front. Chaos across the Gulf and Red Sea is deepening as Yemen's Houthi rebels intensify pressure on Saudi Arabia, targeting the kingdom's energy infrastructure and maritime trade routes. The Houthi maritime blockade, announced on July 20th, has pushed parts of Saudi Arabia's oil export fleet to operate without publicly visible tracking signals amid fears of attacks. The Ansarullah-led Yemeni armed forces have described the campaign as a blockade-for-blockade strategy, presenting it as a direct response to Saudi restrictions on Houthi-held parts of Yemen. The group says its action is retaliation for more than a decade of conflict, airstrikes, and restrictions imposed on Yemen by the Saudi-led coalition. Tanker tracking firms are now offering conflicting estimates of Saudi oil shipments, because many vessels leaving Red Sea terminals are no longer transmitting continuous AIS location signals. This lack of reliable shipping data has left global energy markets guessing about the real scale of Saudi crude exports and the disruption caused by the mounting Red Sea threat. Saudi Arabian tankers have increasingly switched off their tracking signals to reduce their exposure while moving through high-risk waters threatened by Houthi attacks.
Upgrade your news experience with the all-new HT app. Download now.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you'll have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Have you ever wondered what happens when a banking dynasty meets tides of world history, intrigue, and a dash of myth?
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.